All right, y'all. So, welcome. I am Terry from Silverback Nutrition, for those of you that don't know me. And this is my first webcast pod thing,
Film thing,
film, film critic
filminar,
showcase. What are we calling it?
filminar.
I don't even know. Is that even a word?
No,
All
I was
right.
mixing seminar and film together. It didn't really work out.
We're here today. We got Gabby Spenst with us. Gabby is an up and coming young Canadian athlete, CrossFit athlete. She's ripping it up this year. It's been a lot of hard work, and I thought it'd be pretty cool to get online, have a good chat with her. We've been talking a lot lately. She's recently come on board, being sponsored by Silverback Nutrition, Apollo Strength, and we're happy to work with her. But I thought, hey, let's get online. Let's talk to Gabby. Let's let the world meet her and kind of see where this goes. So, Gabby, introduce yourself. Tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Gabby. Yeah, as Terry said, I've been on my kind of CrossFit journey here. I started CrossFit like 5 years ago or so, but I didn't start taking it kind of seriously until December of 2021, when I kind of just really started to dive into it and move away, take my roots up from home, come down to Linden, Washington, and really try to see how far I can do this. So
Awesome. And where's home?
home is Red Deer, Alberta.
Sweet. Another Albertan, much
Yeah.
like myself here. So that's awesome. So I think like I followed you, and maybe a lot of people don't because you're still up and coming. But in 5 years, I would say you've probably made pretty remarkable strides in the sport of CrossFit. So like where did you start 5 years ago? Like 5 years ago in the Worldwide Open, like where did you finish?
Oh, yeah, I think I was in the 90th percentile, and I don't remember exactly the spot, but
Yeah, it was
definitely.
it was probably down there. It was probably down there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then this year, 5 years later, in the Open, how'd you do?
Mhm. In the open, I forget my exact place. I think I was 100 and some place, 100 and something
In
in,
the
in the world for the open, and then I'm bad with my numbers.
No, that's okay. So you placed 100 and something in the world, right?
Mhm.
And then in the Open, and I can't remember offhand either, but how many? Do you know roughly how many female competitors there were in the RX division?
In the open, I don't remember. I would have a better idea for the semifinals. I think semifinals there was like 2,600 girls.
Okay,
I and I placed 90 or 89th worldwide in the the quarterfinals.
that's incredible. So for people that don't know, because the format used to be right, you would do the Open, and then we used to kind of have regionals and stuff like that. And then there were some crazy years in there where there was like national champions and all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah.
So what's the format now? So somebody signs up like yourself this year. So what was your journey? So you sign up, you do the Open, and then how does that progress from there?
Yeah, so the everyone kind of signs up for the open. It's super cool. It's like the largest sporting event in the world because like everyone everywhere partakes in this, and it's over the course of 3 weeks. A workout is released on a Thursday. You have until Monday to do the workout. So at the end of those 3 weeks, they take the top 10% in the male and female division and then send out invites for quarterfinals, which is another online competition. This one is condensed into a Thursday to Sunday, and you have 5 workouts are released Thursday at noon for my Pacific time. Changes all around the world, but 2 tests are due by Friday at noon. 2 tests are due at Saturday at noon. 1 test is due Sunday at noon, and they take top 60. For me, it's I'm in the west of North America, so they take the top 60 from there, go to in-person competition. So that's where we're at now. So made the top 60, which was the goal.
That's awesome.
So
And but not just the top 60. Like you finished
23rd.
pretty high up there,
Yeah.
right? So and it's funny. So for people that are maybe new to the sport and trying to figure out how this all works, when you do the Open, you do one workout a week, and it's like you know, a lot of people will redo that workout. You know, they'll do it as a tester and then they'll redo it and then kind of have a final score. Some people, I think, redo them like 3, 4, 5
Yeah,
times. But
people,
it's not. Sorry, say that again.
there's some people do them a lot.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And but then you get into the quarters and the semis, but the format changes, right? Like
Yeah.
you're doing, I don't know, like how many workouts did you do in the quarters?
The quarters, there was 5 workouts, so I did 3 of them on day 1. And then I retested, so I had time to redo my first workout because I didn't like the way it went at all, and I got a better score for that. So then I did, so I guess 2 workouts the second day, last workout the third day, and I still had an extra day. So I repeated that workout again on the Sunday before the cut line, but I didn't do any better. So
Oh, but you did, but it's not like the open where you have time to redo everything. It's like you need to kind of like hit the
mm,
mark on the first go round because your chances to redo are very limited. Is that correct?
yeah, yeah. I went into it knowing that like I probably had time to redo one within if I really needed to.
Right.
So
Awesome. Okay. So going through CrossFit, you fell in love with the sport. What got you into the sport? Like 5 years ago when you were coming into the sport, were you just like, hey, you know, this looks kind of cool? You dropped in at an intro class. Like what drew you to the sport of CrossFit?
yeah, so I played basketball in high school. When I got out of high school, I kind of didn't know what to do. So I just kind of went to the regular gym, you know, lifting, whatever, super bored. And one day, one of my friends I used to play basketball with in high school, she was playing for the college in Red Deer, and they all went to Pure Fitness CrossFit, which is my home gym. And she invited me one day, and I forget exactly what the workout was, but it had wall balls in it. And I went back home that like, you know how it usually takes like you a day or two to feel it. It was like immediately when I got to the house, I was like, "Oh my, I hurt bad." And so I was like, "I love it." So then, yeah, I just kept going back for the classes,
That,
and the
that's
rest is just
awesome. The rest is history. Not yet. We still have more history to write
yeah.
this year.
There's
Uh,
still more in there.
there's still more. There's still more for this fairy tale season. So what when you started, what was the one movement that you absolutely despised? What was it that you learned and it was like I can't do this. I can't stand this movement.
Um, that's a good question because there's definitely things like the ring muscle up is like, oh, I never thought I'd be able to like do that, or like when the handstand walk came up in the open, I was like, no shot. But I don't know. I would say like just like strict movements, like wall balls hurt me so bad at the beginning because there you just have to go. And I remember Jason McDonald, the guy that owns the gym, he's like, there's no real reason to drop the wall ball. It's like you just gotta keep going. It's like such a mental thing. I was like, that's true. So you can just like make them hurt so bad. So
Yeah, and you actually, you know, speaking of Jason, you know, I've come across Jason myself. He's taught me my level 1 and my level 2 CrossFit coaching. But talk about a guy that can teach you mental toughness, like, you know, a former UFC fighter, right? Turn CrossFit guru, and if anyone can teach you how to push through pain, it is probably that guy.
so true. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he's a really good dude. So okay, so flip that around. What was your favorite movement? Like did you like lifting? Did you
Yeah.
did you like the gymnastics of it? Like
I love the lifting, anything with the barbell. I remember my first time doing DT. It was hard, but I was like, oh, I love, just grabbing the barbell, and like deadlifts are always that was my love. Like I was like, this is so fun. I can do this, and I felt good at it. So that was definitely something that I enjoyed doing.
so when you look back now all these years later and you think of like what your PRs were in like the first year of CrossFit
Yeah.
versus what you can do now, it's probably pretty amazing to think of like how far you've come in such a short period of time in terms of just overall skill development and just strength.
Yeah. Yeah, it is crazy. Sometimes the one that I think about the most often is my snatch. It's like I remember getting so excited when I hit like snatched 130 pounds for the first time. and now, you know, do that like touch and go as power snatch, like it's just kind of crazy
Yeah,
to
that's unbelievable to think like you take what was your PR for like a squat snatch, and
yeah,
now all these years later, you're touch and go for power snatches.
yeah,
Yeah, that's impressive. But you know what? That's a lot of hard work and dedication on your part. It's not like you just kept going to classes and that happened. Like there's a lot of extra work that went into that.
yeah, there was. Yeah,
Awesome.
right away though. It took me a little while to branch outside of just the class time.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what was your first competition?
Oh, my first competition. Um, I think it was the trio. I was a part of a trio team at Can West, but my first individual competition was Can West actually too. I couldn't remember if it was the Armory Open in Edmonton or Can West, but it was Can West in I think 2019, 2018 and 2019, something like that.
Okay. And is that because I had totally forgotten until you posted it online when you announced that we were kind of working together
Uh,
about my wife and I helping you out. And
yeah,
it was that year, wasn't it?
it was. I saw pictures in my phone of what my hands looked like.
Yeah, and I totally forgot about that. And I just mentioned it to my wife the other day, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that. Like it was yesterday, right?"
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, my wife Sherry and I we used to do we were the Canadian distributors for Livesource Canada, and we were set up at the Can West Games. And then poor Gabby comes along, and what was the event that was it the 30 bar muscle ups?
I forget what it was, but the rig was so hot and they had like there was like this red coating on it too, and it would just like tore your hands apart.
I
Something
can't remember.
I forget exactly what the workout was, but
I want to say it was because one year they did 30 bar muscle ups for time, and it was one of the first events. And the rig was scorching hot, like you say, and everyone had these amazing, like beyond blisters. Like I saw people, their hands were ripped from like the whole palm, and they still had every event left to go, and it was incredible. And I'll never forget that. And then yeah, we ended up helping you, and that was kind of I think that was probably the first time we met.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that
which that's crazy. And then we would cross paths kind of at the Armory Open. I saw you again.
yeah.
And then yeah, we just kind of followed each other through there. So you have a much more interesting career than I do. I'm just a hack
Oh,
masters athlete, but I still try to do my best for sure.
you're doing great.
I try. I didn't do the Open this year. Maybe I should have, but I'm rebuilding to come in as the new guy in the 50-year-old division. So I think I'll be
Yeah.
going against your uncle.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell him to watch out. I'll be coming for him.
Yeah, exactly. Watch out, Uncle Darren. Terry's coming.
Okay, so online qualifiers versus in-person competition. Go.
Yeah.
What do you like better?
Oh, I like in person more. Definitely. I think
Okay.
that it's so cool. You get energy from the people around you, and it's just a totally different thing. Like the adrenaline you get from people is insane.
Yeah, it's actually addictive. I have this one moment a few years ago. This was pre-COVID, and I was in Fargo, North Dakota, I think is where I went to the Dakota Games. So my first time kind of competing down in the States. And it was this one event, and it was like handstand walks to finish or something like that. And I have this picture, and it's me at the finish line, and I'm done, and everybody else is still at the rig. And I'm like, I thought I was Matt Fraser. Like I was so far ahead of everybody, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm screaming and I'm cheering. And I think the morning chalk up was there, and they were actually broadcasting all this. And I just
Okay.
looked like a complete 40-year-old nut job screaming like I had just won the CrossFit Games. But you know what? It was my Matt Fraser moment. You know what?
Yeah.
I have a cool picture. I was way ahead of everybody. You know what?
Yeah.
I don't regret it.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
shouldn't.
No, not at all. Yeah, no, I agree. Live competitions are where it's at, and there's just something about them that they get you fired up, and it's the atmosphere and the crowd. And I love CrossFit for the fact that it's true what they say. Like even if you take like a local competition, it really is a sport where someone who's brand new and they're out there and they're struggling and they're trying to do their best, they often get the loudest cheers. right?
Mm-hmm.
The group wants to see them succeed and do something cool. And when the athletes are really high level, we just expect them to, perform at a certain level, and we expect them to be able to do certain things. But man, there's nothing cooler than being at a competition. And you would have been there once yourself. You get your first ring muscle up, or you get your, you PR to lift, and I
Yeah,
think people really dig that stuff. And at the level you're competing at, I think it's even cooler.
it is cool. Yeah.
Awesome. So as an up and coming role model in Canadian CrossFit culture, what's your advice for the young ladies coming up, the young men coming up? What's your advice? Like, if you could go back 5 years and give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be?
Believe in yourself and take a chance. Take a chance on yourself. I wish I would have taken this step a lot sooner than I did, just because of the fear of failing. And then a whole bunch of factors came into my mind. It's like, oh, what about this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? Oh, I can't do that because I have to work at Starbucks to make money. Like all these, I think that like when you have an opportunity to do, especially when you're young, it's like you gotta follow through on that and kind of take a chance on yourself and reach out to the people that are around you, and you're not alone and things. Like I would struggle with that. It's like I felt like I wanted to do everything by myself. Like I wanted to support myself and everything. It's like you can't do that.
Yeah,
Well, like, that's what the like CrossFit's totally like about the community and everything. It's like you're there together, and it's the same thing with like this journey. It's like use the people that are around you, because like people want to help other people, and it's like I'm gonna um pay that forward as well. Like I look forward to the day that I can do this for somebody else, so I think just take a
that
chance.
that's awesome. And you know what? I know, because I've had the chance to meet your uncle. Obviously, we've had a few conversations over, the last month or month and a half, whatever. And I would say, like, I think you have a very good support system.
Mm,
Where you at in Washington, like that? Like, when I met your uncle, I actually thought he was going to the semifinals. He was so excited. Like, he is the ultimate team Gabby fan. And his enthusiasm and passion for your career is pretty contagious.
yeah.
But yeah, you definitely have a good support system. And I know you and I have talked, and in recent days even. And it's like, I've even said, hey, reach out to me and stuff like that. And I think it takes a lot for people to kind of take a step back as an athlete and say, hey, I can't do this on my own. Because even though you go out and you compete as an individual, I think you've kind of come to this realization that it's a team effort that gets you to this level.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't do everything yourself. You can't just keep muscling through everything.
Yeah. So what do you find is, the hardest thing that you need to overcome? So, and
Hmm.
is it the physical training? Is it the mental aspect of, the workload of training and life? Like, what is the one thing, like, that Gabby Spence is like, hey, this is what I need to work on to get me through to get to the next level.
Yeah, being um more, I think, in touch with how I'm doing, like emotionally, like checking myself, sort of like, because I have no like it's almost like a switch that I turned on, that like every single morning when I wake up, it's like I know what I'm doing. It's just like I'm doing, and there's nothing that's gonna stop me. And I get so in a zone. So I have no problem with, you know, motivating myself to get to the gym or eating properly and everything. But where I struggle is like making sure that I'm doing okay. Like slow down and be like, okay, so I've had these life changes happen in the past. How am I doing? Or, having that person that you confide in, and um yeah, just being honest. And journaling has helped me so much as well. Cause again, I think that at least for me, I struggle with just trying to muscle through everything. And you gotta take care of yourself. That doesn't just mean physically, that also means emotionally, because I've experienced that even that emotional stuff, if you don't take care of it, it can leak over and will affect you physically. And that took away from some of my training. So it all has to work together.
Yeah,
know?
and I agree 100%. And again, when we were talking the other day, right, and I kind of said, I think, when things aren't good here and they're not good here, that's when people struggle, right? And as a, I'm going to call you a professional athlete because this is what you do for a full-time job, right? Like this is you train all day, right? Multiple times a day. This is what you're doing. This is your goal, is to get to this level. And I think to say that people that are putting in this amount of effort aren't professional athletes would be a disservice to what you're doing. But again, I like the message that you're sending out to people. It's like, hey, it's not all rainbows and sunshine all the time. Like, you got the same highs and lows as anybody else, and you need to make sure that those things are being taken care of, because when they are taken care of, I think that elevates you to a different level of success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So geez, what was I going to say? Now I totally blanked. That's incredible.
Bring it back,
What
bring it back.
I know. All right. So you're training hard, you're doing all the right stuff. What do you like to do for fun? What's your downtime? You got some downtime. What you binging on Netflix? What are you doing?
Yeah, I like just chilling. Like when I'm here, it's like hanging out with my aunt and my uncle, or like chilling on the couch watching Netflix or whatever. But like when I'm back home and around more of my family and stuff, I like hanging out with my sisters and my nieces and nephews, like skateboarding in the summertime. Um, I just love hanging out with family. That's the
And
big thing.
Red Deer is home, but you're actually living in Sylvan Lake, correct?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
so that's for people that don't know, Sylvan Lake is a pretty sweet place to hang out, right? You got a lot to do.
It
The
is
lake obviously
summertime.
is right there. Yeah, summertime,
Yeah,
that place is pretty happening. So that's
yeah.
awesome. So yeah, what else do you want to tell anybody before we depart here?
I think we covered a lot of the bases. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you know what? So what people don't know is, so for all of you that are going to see this, so Gabby and I were talking, and I think we're going to turn this into like a little 3-part series. So today was just a chance for everyone, to kind of meet Gabby and hear about her journey and, what she's out there doing to represent our country in the sport of CrossFit. And then next week, we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to talk about nutrition and what it takes to get to Gabby's level. And I know that's something that you're super passionate about, is nutrition and fueling the body and stuff like that. So I'm excited to talk about that. And then in the third week, the third part of this series, we're going to talk about training and how nutrition ties back into that, because I know Gabby and myself, we both follow CrossFit Mayhem programming. And I know as the masters athlete doing that stuff, it's a lot.
All stuff.
Um, yeah, it's pretty heavy training. And I like the fact that nutrition flows into that topic, because you cannot do that level of programming without fueling your body properly, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
awesome. Well, Gabby, thanks so much for taking the time. I'm excited to talk to you next week about nutrition. And I think it's going to be great. And you know what? I'm excited to have the opportunity to do something like this and
Me
really
too.
help get your name out there. I think you do great things for the sport. And I don't think enough people know about what you're doing. And that's what we're going to try and change. We're going to try and get your name out there and get people to follow you, because you got a big competition coming up at the end of May here, right? End of
Yeah,
May is semis.
yeah.
And then how many go through from semis to the games?
You gotta be top 10 in the West, so
Okay. So
lots to go up.
you're ready. You're ready to do it. Awesome. Well, Gabby, thanks so much. I look forward to chatting with you next week. Now you probably have to go do your 4th training session for the night. So
Training session's dinner, so
we'll make sure it's something healthy.
yeah, well, don't worry.
All right. Well, we'll talk with you next week, and thanks again for doing this.
Yes, thanks, Terry. I'll see you.
Cheers.
Bye.